Let's take a look at the latest setup for your Thanksgiving week ahead. We've got this colder pocket of air that's building up there in eastern Canada. That is the energy that is going to be diving southeastward into New England. We also have a ridge of high pressure that's highlighted over the middle of the country. That is within the warm sector. And within that warm sector, we are seeing some showers and thunderstorms. Some of these actually could turn severe later in today into portions of Kansas as well as into Oklahoma. And that same energy will shift southeastward, and those will turn severe, especially into East Texas, getting into Louisiana and heading into Mississippi during the day on Monday. But back behind it, we are going to be seeing this cold shot of air that's going to be coming in on the backside with some very windy conditions on the backside of that cold front. And then we'll be watching this ridge of high pressure up here towards Alaska, and that will be building over Alaska during midweek. And as that builds, that will release this colder dome of air southward into the lower 48 on Friday, after Thanksgiving. So going forward, let's take a look at the latest satellite picture. So we've got this area of instability within the warm sector that's got a low pressure center that's highlighted over portions of Kansas as well as into Oklahoma. And then further south, we're getting some lighter showers into, West Texas and to East Texas. This is the pocket of energy that will be diving southeastward going into the day on tomorrow. So, but once we get into that tomorrow time frame on Monday, heading into the afternoon, those are going to be taking advantage of some of that daytime heating. And those could actually start to turn severe, especially as they head towards East Texas, getting into the Shreveport region, up here into Monroe. That will likely extend into the Jackson region later on in the evening time frame, but it'll reach as far south as Lake Charles, into Lafayette, going into Baton Rouge, and all the way up into the Jackson region as we go into the evening time frame. So if you look at the kind of like the Elicity index, where the greatest lift will be, we'll likely see probability of some potential larger hail, if not a tornado or two. The higher probability is down here into East Texas, but especially across Louisiana, getting into Mississippi. And in fact, the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted that slight risk for severe storms, especially as they get going into East Texas into the afternoon time frame for your Monday. And that will extend and south of the Little Rock region into Arkansas. But especially as they get into Louisiana, that is the most favored area down here to Lake Charles, all the way to New Orleans and up here into Jackson. Those will start to fade in severe threat as they extend into the Birmingham region. But this is the favorite area. If you're going to see a spin up tornado or two, this is the favorite area as we head into East Texas, but especially in this brown shaded area does include much of Louisiana and much of Mississippi. So these are the favorite time frame, I would say, between tomorrow afternoon into the evening time frame to see a tornado or two. So definitely be on high alert. There will likely be a tornado watch in place during that time frame. So this is your rainfall for the next 48 hours. So within that warm sector, as this is highlighted over the middle of the country and pushing eastbound, that's where the most of the instability is right now. So where that's highlighted over the low pressure, look at the graph on the bottom of the screen here. These are your total rain amounts during the next 48 hours, likely 1 to 2 inches of rain highlighted in this area across Kansas, across northern portions of Oklahoma, getting into Mississippi, southern portions of Illinois, but especially down there in Arkansas, Louisiana, heading into western Tennessee, down here into Mississippi and Alabama, and lighter amounts as we extend back into Georgia, going up into portions of Kentucky, into all the way up into portions of southern Ohio. But back behind it, there's that cold front, right? We'll have the gustier winds back behind the cold front. The feels like temperature will be about 10 to 15 degrees colder than what the actual thermometer says because of the winds. We're talking 20, 30, but gust at 35 mile per hour at time. And then going into the day on Tuesday, this is where the low pressure center will be coming out of the southeast. we could be seeing even stronger winds during that time frame within this corridor, western Tennessee, down here in northern portions of Alabama. That's the same low pressure that'll be lifting northeastward and eventually setting up over the mid-Atlantic region as we get into that Wednesday time frame, the day before Thanksgiving. This is likely going to be a high travel day, so we're going to be probably seeing some pretty significant snows coming out of eastern Canada as we'll watch this low pressure come in. That's where the colder pocket of air is right now, up into eastern Canada, that's diving southward. And then as this low pressure comes in, adds the moisture, that's going to be wringing out some more snow across upstate New York, especially into Vermont and New Hampshire, and heading into the state of Maine is going to pick up some pretty significant snow. That's the day before Thanksgiving. So on your actual Thanksgiving day, this is the setup. This is the big setup on the North American view. We're watching this little shortwave down here across the southern jet stream. This is the little pocket of energy that will be likely affecting portions of the deep south. We're talking South Texas, up into Louisiana, back into Mississippi. Well, we've got this colder pocket of air that's building up there in Canada, right? And then we'll have this ridge up there also building across Alaska. So once this ridge starts to build across Alaska, that is going to set the stage and plunge this colder southbound, likely during that Friday time frame. But on actual Thanksgiving Day, it's actually going to be fairly decent. So we only have that short wave to contend with, and far southwards into Texas. That's where we could be picking up some light to moderate rains across South Texas, places like into Brownsville, San Antonio, Austin, down in the Houston region. I don't really actually think it makes it far north as Dallas, but it does probably extend into the Louisiana region, going into the nighttime time frame into your Thanksgiving Day. But for the good part of the country, right, it's actually pretty clear. And overall, as far as temperatures go, this is what your high temperatures go for your Thanksgiving. Further south, even low 60s here, that's almost actually what we typically see this time of year. But further north, you've got 20s starting to show up on the map. That's the beginning stages of that colder air releasing southbound, but that likely starts to unfold on the day on Friday. So as we go into that Friday time frame, now look at the ridge, right? It's locked over Alaska, going to be locked over northern portions of Canada. And as this really starts to lock, we've got that colder dome of air building further south. And it's only got one way to go, folks. It's got to go south because it's got blocking associated with it. And what we're looking at, once this heads southbound, we're probably going to be extending into an extended time frame of a cold spell for probably almost 10 days or so. So it's because we're looking at some of the teleconnections. If you look at the EPO, which is your Eastern Pacific Oscillation, yeah, it goes pretty decisively negative for your central and eastern 2/3 of the US right after that Thanksgiving time frame. So really from the 25th through about the December 5th time frame, once that cold air hits your area, it's likely going to be extending for an extended period of time, likely about 10 days or so. We're going to be on the below average side for a good part of the central and eastern 2/3 of the US. So if we break it down on Friday, here's some actual temperatures as that colder air starts to plunge southbound. We've got 20s and teens starting to show up on the map further north, and that colder air will extend into Kansas by then, all the way up into Illinois. You'll be waking up with 28 degrees up there in Illinois as that colder air will continue to plunge southbound. And as it does, yes, that colder air will extend, probably dumping some heavier snows over Wyoming into Colorado there, down here into Nebraska. That extends, look at that, 13 in the Amarillo region, right? So that's the beginning stages of that colder air mass. And then all systems go that this will likely be extended all the way down into Mexico. This is a front that I think is going to be extending all the way down into Mexico that'll eventually shift southeastward. Eventually the southeast will finally start to get in the action and likely going into that central Florida time frame as we get deeper into the deeper towards the end of the month. But all systems go for that colder air to push in, and back behind it for your Thanksgiving week ahead between now and Sunday, it's going to leave a pretty decent snow swath in its wake across these regions of the Intermountain West. You can see the map on the bottom of the corner of the screen. Most ensemble guidances are still pretty bullish on this system, with some heavier snows that are going to be dropping down in this region. And this could extend as far south as the Texas Panhandle. Maybe even Oklahoma sees snow for your Thanksgiving week. Even portions of Missouri back into Iowa, and up here into portions of Wisconsin and Illinois. And then some of that snow will filter into portions of Pennsylvania and upstate New York. And wow, look at this, folks. Look at Vermont, New Hampshire, and of course, definitely Maine there. You will likely get crushed with probably 1 to 2 feet of snow for your next 7 days, with that colder air coming in. And what we talked about is once that cold air starts to plunge southbound, it's only got one way to go. It's going to be trapped into the lower 48 as this ridge will build over Alaska, as it will build over northern portions of Canada. That colder air just gets trapped through the 25th. Through the 30th time frame. Most of the area is below average temperatures, and even going in, the teleconnections already say all the way through that 30th through that December 4th, December 5th time frame. So we've got about a 10-day window, right? November 25th to December 5th. We're likely going to be below average for about 80% of the country, at least the central and eastern 2/3 of the US. Now, looking longer than that, I know we're getting a long way out, but my gut tells me we're going to rebound. So once we get past the 5th, we're going to have this warmer air come back in the picture. And I think by the time we head into that December, that second week of December, that third week in December, it's probably going to be on the milder side. So if you like colder air, you're definitely going to enjoy the time frame after that Thanksgiving week through that 5th time frame. And if you like milder air, it's likely going to be coming back for the middle part of the December there. So, but going forward, here's your probability for snow, right? So this is like measurable snowfall. This is on your European ensembles right now, where these areas at least see 1 inch of snowfall over between now and that 10-day time frame from after Thanksgiving through December the 5th. And all these areas in red, that's 100%, right? That's about a 100% probability you're at least going to get measurable snow. But you can see the snow line drifting as far south as the Texas Panhandle. Likely Oklahoma gets some snow, and to portions, probably maybe even Arkansas, northern portions of Arkansas. Going up into Illinois, into Indiana and Ohio, and up here into the mid-Atlantic. That's your European ensembles. This is your GFS ensembles, kind of implying the same way all the way further southbound. And this is the Canadian ensembles. Likely the Canadians are probably the most bullish. They typically have a colder bias on that particular model. But nonetheless, these areas will likely start to see some snow, especially after that Friday after Thanksgiving time frame. So looking forward. I'll be definitely fine-tuning this going forward on my channel. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update where I protect you before and after the storm.